All right. Hello and welcome to the fourth of the live workshop series. As you may or may not know, these are a series of that will be happening every 3 weeks to educate applicants, guide idea creation, and support you as best as we can. First, let's introduce the competition. So the Blue Ocean Competition is the world's largest high school entrepreneurship competition, with the prize money ranging from $250 to $1,000 for our winners. And there's not only one way to win. There are various categories such as the top 3 winners, school with the most applicants, best social pitch, and it goes on. The winners consist of international applicants, which is also very impressive for college application process. Additionally, for the first time, we're offering internship opportunities for the winners this year. Make sure to stay tuned till the end for information about the Early Bird Opportunity Program and the Ambassador Program. All right, today's live workshop will be featuring Anna Tonelli, and her idea, Anna's Style Shop, was an entry for the 2019 competition. And she's also a past student executive committee member and board member. So hi, Anna, thanks for taking the time to be here today. And if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name's Anna Tonelli. As Ishan said, I did some time with the Blue Ocean competition as a member of the executive committee and on the board of directors. In my personal life, I've done a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. For my pitch, where in 2019, I tried to kind of adapt my own personal business where I did drop shipping hair care products. I tried to kind of make that into the Blue Ocean model, which is kind of a different perspective, I'd say, than a lot of competitors. So I can talk about how I did that a little bit later, but yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. And I'm Ishan Manjar. I'm a past participant and also a current Blue Ocean Competition Student Executive Committee member. And within the committee, just for background, I primarily work on high school outreach and program training, as well as some of the new developments we'll be doing, such as like a YouTube alumni spotlight series and our very own Blue Ocean social media, TikTok and stuff. And as a participant of this competition, I've learned a lot about being an entrepreneur and what it means to turn a business idea into a working solution and using the Blue Ocean strategy. So the point of these live workshops are to teach you about the Blue Ocean strategy and how you can use it to eventually turn your seed business idea into a working solution and effective pitch for the judges, especially for this competition. And I guess now we can start the Q&A with Anna. And so I guess sort of the agenda for this workshop is to have a Q&A with Anna and learn about her experiences with idea creation, brainstorming, and problem understanding. If you guys were present at the last webinar or workshop series, we had a Q&A with Mr. Nestor Benavides, who's the president of the board for this competition. And we learned a lot about idea creation and brainstorming. And now our aim is to learn from someone who was a student committee member, as well as someone who went through the competition. And we're also going to have an opportunity to meet other participants through breakout rooms and discuss problem solving strategies and potentially even form teams. And stay till the end for some more resources. So I guess, yeah, we'll start with the first question with Anna, if that's fine with you. And the first question was, what is your idea and how did you come up with your idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So the name of my business was Anna Style Shop. And what I was trying to do with that was I wanted to provide hair care products below market value if I could. And I wanted to provide like a user experience that was a lot easier to navigate than other hair care businesses, because there's a lot of fake information out there. There's a lot of products that claim to do things that they don't. So the goal of my business was to create an online storefront that would help you navigate finding hair care products suited for you in the best way possible. So yeah, that was my idea.
Awesome, thank you. And I guess the next question was, what difficulties did you face while coming up with your solution? And if any, how did you overcome these difficulties or obstacles?
Yeah, absolutely. So I faced a couple because what I was doing wasn't exactly a Blue Ocean before I decided to kind of apply these concepts. There's a lot of websites out there that you can buy hair care products from for your hair type, whatever. But so how I kind of made my business have a competitive edge was I created a survey where the second you get onto the website, where you talk about your hair texture, your hair type, its length, like kind of properties of it, and then it automatically provides products that would be the best for you. And over time, it will change its suggestions for you. If you're like, oh, my hair's after a couple months of using these said products, my hair's gotten a lot thicker, but now I kind of want it to be less frizzy. And then that was kind of how I approached that. I think another problem that I faced was, I don't know if anyone has heard of Curology, but that is a hair care brand where they make a specific formula for your hair type. It's pretty expensive, so I kind of had to juxtapose my business to that, because that, I think, is the leading hair care brand that kind of had a similar ideals to mine, but I think mine was a cheaper alternative with products that already exist. So that's kind of how I overcame those obstacles, and just kind of realizing what problems you face and what other competitors are doing similar things in your market, and then just trying to give yourself that competitive edge, like where to kind of settle, be like, I can't do that better, but where can I excel? Where can I find that blue ocean? Where can I kind of capture that blue ocean? So that's kind of how I overcame those obstacles while finding my solution.
Yeah, awesome. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, finding that blue ocean and making your competition irrelevant is the whole point of having a blue ocean solution. So
yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
that's very exciting, Anna, how you approached it, because of course, not everybody would be able to, afford Trilogy or so. And you were thinking of that basic blue ocean principle, which is high value at low cost. So you were able to figure out, how can you possibly have a similar model with the products that are already existing, open up the market to people who may be able to get that really high value at a cost structure that's low to you as well. Because if Trilogy is doing it, and it seems like their cost structure would be really high because it's customized for every person individually, right? And
yeah,
so
exactly.
we're able to figure that out at a lower cost. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think we do a lot of talking at the Blue Ocean competition, or what I've seen in my 3 or 4 years working for the comp. We see a lot of people creating new businesses and applying the Blue Ocean concepts, which is wonderful, and it's amazing. That's what we want. That's what we want to pitch. But at the same time, in the book, it's also the business concept. Also, it's like applying to businesses that already exist, and how to kind of change your infrastructure and change your business idea to make it more of for scaling. So I think my business was more an example of applying the concepts to something that had already existed, in a red ocean. So it's kind of different perspective.
Very impressive. Thank you, Anna.
Awesome. Thank you. And then the next question was, did you have a mentor or example of business that inspired you throughout your process?
I don't know if I had a business mentor exactly, but I think a business that inspired me was, I think the ideals of Curology, but just making it more affordable and just making it make sense for the larger population, because everyone wants to have nice hair, everyone wants to feel their best, look their best, but it's hard to afford that, especially in that kind of sense. So I think I kind of looked at Curology and I was like, I could apply those same morals to my business, but in a way that would be accessible to many more people. So I think that's kind of a business that inspired me, but I wanted to just do it differently my way. I wanted to do it in the Blue Ocean way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And having like a structure or solution that is already there, but applying the Blue Ocean concepts to that so that you can make the competition irrelevant. Your Blue Ocean solution doesn't just have to be like a totally new invention, right? Is what you're trying to say. So yeah, moving on to another challenging part, which is actually the pitch. The business pitch is in a video format where the Blue Ocean competition provides a template pitch and slides deck. However, Anna, your video stood out, and your features and explanations were precise and comprehensible. But behind the scenes, what were the trickiest parts about scripting a pitch, and also in general, just formatting the video, and what challenges did you face when presenting it? Because I know that's one of the harder parts for a lot of people, applicants.
Exactly. I think the hardest part of just an elevator pitch in general is pitching yourself, your idea, what you stand for in such a short period of time, and doing so in an eloquent and effective way. I think my biggest struggle when doing the pitch was I wanted it to be visually appealing, but I didn't really have the resources to do that. So I think I did my best. I used our news watch room at my high school, and I inserted clips of my website and what it did. But I think finding language that best suited me was the hardest part. And I think to combat that, or what advice I would give to people that are going to pitch this upcoming season, I would say you can look up different, not elevator pitch scripts, but just kind of verbiage and language you could use and incorporate that would help you sound more sophisticated, that would help you communicate your ideas more effectively. And I would say reread that and have it memorized. You want to know your stuff, because if you don't know your stuff when you're reading, it's just going to you're going to sound less confident, and it's going to come across, it's going to reflect poorly on your idea and your business, even if it's an amazing idea. So I would definitely say kind of know it like the back of your hand and proofread it. Just make sure you have that down, and also watch other videos of people, past winners that have done it. You can hear what they say, you can hear kind of their inflection, you can see it all and what their video looks like. And I think that would be really helpful too if you're looking to see what a winning idea is and how they communicate that.
Yeah, and that sounds great. And to that point, what would you say is more important for the pitch? The words that come out of your mouth and how you phrase it and effectively and eloquently, getting your point across, or the actual aesthetic and quality of your video?
So at the end of the day, it's the content that matters. And I think through all the seasons that I've been through, it's been the content that's won. I think visual effect just makes it look nice, and it automatically kind of puts you a little bit above. But at the end of the day, it's what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I wouldn't, if you don't have access like I did to, if you don't have access to really not fancy, but visual effects or really clean looking graphics, that's fine, as long as what you're saying communicates what your idea, effectively.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had the same issue. And I'm not the best at graphic design either, but it's also pretty good to if you have a team to recruit one of your friends or someone that that is well versed in graphic design and video design. And this, I remember we talked about this in the last webinar too.
And taking advantage of resources at your school too. So I didn't have anywhere to film my pitch, but I was like, I have a friend in the newsroom, so I might use their setup just to make it a little more elevated than doing it in my bedroom. And I think a lot of schools or neighboring schools have resources with graphic design. If there's a teacher that does graphic design or art, you can reach out to them and find something out. It's whatever, you just got to take advantage of the resources that you have.
Definitely, yeah, I agree.
I think, Anna, you also made a great point about, rehearsing and practicing before you actually present your or record your pitch. And it is when you go on a live competition, of course, you don't have that opportunity. But because this competition also gives students an opportunity to learn the process, but also get that training, right? So you can be standing in front of the mirror and rehearsing it many times, and that's fine, because that's really what an elevator pitch sort of thing is about, right? When you have just a few minutes to present your idea, to discuss it and so on, and you have rehearsed it enough that you are able to present it in a confident way. So yes, I think that's a great idea. Everybody should do it. Rehearse it perfectly before you record it, or record it multiple times. Only send it when you are comfortable with it. And so it's not just that you are going to get just this one chance to present, right? Because you have the opportunity to improve your pitch maybe record it, even share it with others, let others comment, your family and friends and so on, and improve on it before you actually send in your pitch. So
Yeah, exactly.
okay, great idea. Ishan, do I need to go on the next slide or?
Yeah, I think the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the first question, yeah, I think we went over this already. So I guess the next question, yeah. So what is the most important quality for young entrepreneurs who are pitching a business? You know, aside from just the video itself, but what's the most important, you know, personal quality, I would say?
So I think a really important quality for young entrepreneurs who are pitching a business is to just seem passionate about your idea and just really into it. But you're willing to take this business to go the mile, to go the distance. I think that's a really important part of it that isn't really talked about, especially if you're using especially if your elevator pitch, like in your personal life, or if let's say you're pitching to an investor, you're pitching like at like an incubator accelerator program to mentors, whatever. I think showing that you care about your business and you're not like nonchalant about it, like, oh, they're betting on you. They're betting on you. They're betting on your idea and how well you can take your idea, what you can do with it. I think that's an important part that struggling to find the language. I think that's an important part that A, isn't talked about, and B, is what a lot of people are looking for beyond the competition, you know? So I would definitely say, and that's hard. That's a hard trait to kind of communicate, but if you just seem passionate and like just excited, that's the most exciting part. Entrepreneurship is fun. It's exciting. You want to start your business. You want to pitch your product. You want to do all this stuff. And I think communicating that in your pitch it's promising. So yeah.
Yeah, and so the next question is, how did pitching in the Blue Ocean competition help you grow as an entrepreneur and also life after school?
I think how it helped me. So when I pitched, I really wasn't expecting anything. It was more just for me to apply business concepts, the Blue Ocean concepts to my business and kind of get feedback on it. I knew my idea wasn't a complete Blue Ocean, and I knew that who was the winner for my year? I forget, but I remember one of the winners in some year. Their idea was to there was a lot of waste products when they were like harvesting bananas in I don't remember what country, but there was waste product and they were making water bottles out of that. And that's just such a Blue Ocean. That's amazing idea. And they were doing it sustainably. And I was like, my idea of like hair products, I was like, that's not in the same level. But I think how it helped me was I got feedback on it and I was able to kind of tweak what I needed to tweak. And it was a really cool experience. Just I think that might have been the first or second time I'd ever done an elevator pitch. And it was just a really cool experience and like learning about the Blue Ocean concepts. I read the books. I thought it was really interesting. And then obviously I applied to I think I started off doing the social media for the Blue Ocean competition on the executive committee. And after a year or two, they moved me up to the board of directors and I was doing mostly just primary marketing and all that stuff, running social media ad campaigns for like thousands of dollars. It was amazing. I think throughout high school, it was cool to be a part of the competition to see how it runs, because all the business experience that I had prior was either somewhere that I was working or my own business. I think it was cool seeing that firsthand. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship, and I think in a way that it's kind of hard to replicate. And I really appreciate how awesome Ted Daco was in helping me. I miss the man, but there was just a lot of really cool experiences that I really otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to pursue, even in once I've graduated with a degree. But yeah, really thankful for that. And I'm trying to think of a little closing statement. I really would implore everyone to kind of either apply for the competition or try to get an internship, do something. If you think that you have, if you think that you're savvy enough, if you think that that's something you could do and excel at, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think the next question is a little bit repetitive, but I'll just rephrase the question to as a follow-up to what you just said. What do you think as a committee member of the Blue Ocean competition? Can you just speak a little bit about your experiences as a committee member and then as a board member, and how that sort of helped your leadership and what you worked on, so that this is an inspiration to the applicants who are applying for the competition this year too.
Yeah, I think my experience on the executive committee was pretty cool. It was a bunch of high school students and we were working in different teams. I think we had an outreach team, or I was on the social media team. And there was people doing like SEO, Google Analytics. So I think I did pretty well my first year doing the social media, and I brought up the idea of maybe running social media ad campaigns to kind of just spark outreach. And we ended up doing a lot. I think we increased domestic registration by like 86%. And then I think my last year at the competition, we were really focusing on international registration. We managed to increase that by like over 300%. And like we were in 27 countries. It was really amazing. But that was kind of, the executive committee was more of a team aspect. But then once I was offered a position on the board of directors, that was pretty cool because I was kind of managing a little high school team and doing my own stuff. So you kind of report back, and it was just a different set of responsibilities, but it was really, really rewarding. I think that's experience that I was so lucky to be able to, I was so lucky to have, especially at my age, like where else would you be able to do something like that and kind of put it on a resume and feel comfortable going to the workplace at some point, or internships, having had that under your belt, and you're like, oh, this isn't new, I know how this works. And it was very, very rewarding. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know this is a big inspiration for a lot of people applying at the competition now. So definitely the first step to that is participating in the Blue Ocean competition, and then the network you gain from that is immense, right? So it's awesome.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the network definitely is nice. A lot of business people you can call upon if you have questions, that especially entrepreneurial business people that can give you feedback that's very, very valuable.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much for your answers. I know there were a lot of questions. So I guess now, if it's possible, we can open up questions to the audience. If any of the people in the audience have any questions for Anna.
Thank you, Anna. I have a couple of questions.
I think she might have accidentally left, but
She'll join back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question. If you have an idea, how can you tell if it's like not really a blue ocean idea or not?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the baseline of the blue ocean competition, the blue ocean concept, is an idea that nobody's really doing before. It's like a market that hasn't been touched. Like I think the first example that they use in the book is I don't know if you've heard of Circus de Olay. It's kind of an entertainment thing. It's like a mix between a circus and like acrobats. It's like it's never been done before. So when that was emerging, that was a blue ocean that was not being done before. So they had no competitions. They were able to seize all that market value. I think in applying the blue ocean to your business, or if you're trying to see if your idea is a blue ocean or not, just think of every competitor, Google it, like ask your friends if anyone's doing something like it or similar to it, like anything like that, if you can kind of find, because that's what I had to do with my business. I was like, all right, so I'm doing hair care, that is a red ocean, but who's doing something similar to my idea? Who's doing something that could impede on my business in the future? And just kind of working out those questions, maybe writing out some questions and just doing some research on your own to see if it's being done before. Has been done
Okay.
before.
I'm sorry, I dropped out earlier, but Anna, I'm curious to know, did you think about forming a team? Were you in the competition just on your own, or so talk a little bit about why, if you did it alone, why, and if there was a team, how did you come up with it?
So I think it was a little bit tricky for me to start a team if that was going to be something that I wanted to do, just because the business that I had was already existing and it was already like my own business. I think if it was a new concept, I needed help in certain areas, or if I thought that some of my friends that were like kind of business minded that were into that, I could have definitely recruited them for my team. But I think just the way that I was originally set up, I was like, I don't really think it would be a good idea to bring someone else on. It would kind of, I felt like the workload would have been in balance, and like there's a lot to update them on, and I was like, I don't know. So I decided to just kind of work alone and try to apply those concepts to my business the best that I could.
And
Yeah,
were you able to, sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you can work in a team, I definitely would recommend that. It's nice having more than one brain on it, because especially because when you're reading your pitch or you're looking at your storefront, you're doing whatever, it gets less fresh, so you're like, it's harder to see kind of how it can make it better. And it's just nice having another person on that. But yeah, keep going.
And did you have any other resource at your school that you could talk to about your business to help you improve it? Like, were you able to discuss it with your teacher? Did you ever discuss it in your class, or?
So I did not know. That's what made it a lot trickier for me, I think. I was a freshman while I was doing this, and I think I did the brunt of the work in the first 3 months of school. And my school also didn't have DECA or FBLA or anything. So this was like, oh, I'll do this. This is somewhat like, I knew I loved business. I knew I loved entrepreneurship. And then I think how I found the competition, I just Googled the entrepreneurship competition, and I was like, oh, this one. So it's kind of funny. I told that to the board of directors, I think last year, when I was like, this is how I found the competition. It was just funny because how far I've came. But yeah, so I really didn't have any resources that I knew about or that I could take advantage of. I was just kind of doing it on my own. I was trying to read the book and apply those concepts and kind of use everything that the website provided and just kind of do my best with that. And I think especially in the past couple of years, I think we've made it a lot easier to find resources on the website. And if you have a teacher that's kind of an advocate at your school, it's gotten a lot better. But when I did the competition, I think it was maybe a little trickier in that sense.
Yeah, of course, over the years, I just remembered you were talking about 27 countries with Ishan and his team. This year, we are in 141 countries. Can you imagine that?
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy.
It is amazing. And that's what we often talk about, for students, high school students like Ishan, who are on the board and, on our team and so on, to be able to make an impact in such a meaningful way. Just imagine, in the US, of course, there are many other resources, competitions, those things that are available. But like Somalia or Kenya or somewhere in Asia or so, these students don't have those opportunities. So it really, we feel empowered because we are providing this opportunity to those students. And these students who are high school students are doing all that legwork like you were doing when you were a part of the team. So it's, very inspiring and amazing how, and then of course, yes, there are more resources for students to learn. We are trying to engage more teachers so that there is more support for the students and so on. One other question, could you talk a little bit about what the status of the business is right now? How long did it continue? Did you ever give up on it and move to something new? Or yeah, so just take us through sort of like the journey for your pitch and where it went afterwards. How long did it last, or those sort of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So my business had already been around for, I think, maybe a year and a half by the time I finished my pitch, submitted it. I applied the blue ocean concepts the best that I could. And it worked really well for a while. Some pretty decent streams of income. I think I was doing what I wanted to do. A part of entrepreneurship, though, and a part of e-commerce, and especially if you're doing that online, that people don't talk about a whole lot, is that you get very wrapped up in it, especially if it doesn't require that much out of you like mine. That's kind of why I started in the first place, because it was very appealing, because all I really needed to do to keep it up and running was to update my inventory sheets in the morning and at night, and then I was good. And that's the little business passive income working for me. But you get very involved in it. So I'm checking my orders on Shopify all the time, or I'd be updating my inventory all the time, and I'd be checking it in school. And I just thought that the amount of benefit it was bringing in my life, monetarily, business wise, by the time I think I got to my senior year, so it would have been like 4 or 5 years, I think I decided that it wasn't worth it to me. So I decided to kind of just take it down. And I could have kept going with that, definitely, but I think there was other business entrepreneurial endeavors that I wanted to pursue more. And I think it was a really great experience. But I decided at the end of the day that I don't think that was the best fit for me. And I think that's a hard decision, especially when you've put in so much legwork and you've seen it grow and you've kind of have a baseline, it's doing great. But that was just something that I decided wasn't going to be the best thing for me long term.
That's so wonderful. But you see, what you got really with that is that experience. So next time when you start a business, and that's what goes on in the life of an entrepreneur, you always are looking for those newer things, but you got that experience, right? To build it, then to improve it, then to get some, then you also probably you did not experience how you would exit from it, but that's what entrepreneurs do as well, that you would figure out a way to maybe sell that business to somebody else and then move on to a newer interest. But very cool. Yeah. One other interesting thought that I'm now that I'm hearing you speak about your business, I mean, often it's said, if you want to go faster, go alone. And if you want to go farther, go with the team, because it then lasts longer. And you can probably go a farther distance and so on. So maybe for your newer business or any new idea, you may think of, who are the people, some complementary qualities that you can bring along and then work on it. So wonderful.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think I've learned it, especially after the fact, that you can go a lot faster and kind of streamline everything you need to do by yourself. But when things get tough, it's a lot easier to rely on other people with different perspectives. And yeah, I think when I was having the thoughts, I was like, I think I might end this, I think it's time for this to kind of put a little bow on it. I've had that experience under my belt, I'm ready to go on and do bigger, better things. But I think it was kind of tricky because I was like, well, I could maybe like pass this on to maybe like a sibling or someone that kind of give them that experience, or I can't really sell it. That would have been really difficult for me, I think, to kind of navigate, especially with the college process that was all happening at the same time. But I think it would have just been a little too tricky kind of tax wise for me, and the kind of speaking to different people about that. And I was like, I think I might just do this on my own. But yeah, at that point, I was very much like,
you could have thought like selling it to Trilogy. They would have been.
Yeah.
That's the traditional like exit.
Yeah.
Strategy,
Acquire it.
Acquired by bigger company or so. Okay, so I'll let others ask questions. And actually, it would be great because we don't have many participants here because the FIFA World Cup final is going on at this time. We did not, take that into consideration. But it would be great if the other participants can also put their videos on and just ask questions live. I think rather than doing the breakout rooms because we don't have many participants, let's have that discussion here. So if you don't mind. And then they can introduce themselves as well about what they are working on, and we can have a discussion about that.
Yeah, I'm Neil. I'm a junior in California, and like what I'm working on, my idea has to do with using like recycling textile waste to making lightweight concrete for construction. And like looking at the current literature and like companies that use it, it's not that widespread. There are benefits and like there are pros and cons to using like my method of lightweight construction with that kind of concrete. But for lightweight construction, especially, it's really useful and it can reduce transportation costs. And the cost to make it is pretty much the same as regular concrete. And essentially, it replaces the steel beams inside of the concrete with textile weave, and it can provide higher compressive strength than regular concrete. So I think it's a pretty blue ocean idea. There are some examples. There are some sparse examples of it being used in some construction projects, but I don't see it really that widespread.
Yeah. So
Any
you
feedback?
can definitely look at and discuss in your pitch about, how is it really going to change the life of people who are using it? So whether it's contractors or whether it's, whatever is being built with the concrete. So what's really that value that it brings? One aspect of it is how it is technologically different, right? But then the other thing is, how is the normal concrete or whatever, whoever are your competitors that you are looking at, how is that value brought to the, what is the value that product and that process brings to the users, and how are you different? I think it would be great if you focused on that. But are you working with a team or are you developing it yourself?
I have one teammate.
Okay, cool. Well, we look forward to your submission. That would be, and is this the first time that you're participating?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
And I'm sure you know this already, but just as just to optimize the quality of your pitch, just as you work, I know it's a little bit early, but as you work on your pitch, just look at the Blue Ocean rubric and also do the Blue Ocean strategy mini course. It's going to help you a lot with consolidating all those ideas like competitive edge that Dr. Z talked about and your unique value proposition into the actual Blue Ocean diagrams and concepts. And then having that on your pitch is going to really help with judging too. So
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right, so anyone else have any questions or want to talk about their idea, pitch, anything else?
And so Vaishnavi, and currently I'm working on an app that will help students build their future. So instead of just focusing on the colleges, they can apply in scholarships. So we can also focus on internships, job opportunities, and building their own enterprise. So that I would collect data about government subsidies, loan interest, bank loans, and scholarships available. So I don't really know if it's a blue ocean idea, but it focuses on more points than other competitors in the market.
So was your question if you're not sure if it's a Blue Ocean idea?
Well, from where didn't we hear, please?
Yes, now we hear you clearly. Now I hear you clearly.
Okay, so I'm Vaishnavi, and for my Blue Ocean idea, I thought of an app which would help the students build up their future. It would not only focus on colleges they can apply to and scholarships, but it will also help them find internship opportunities, job opportunities, and even help them create their business. For example, it could provide statistics about government subsidies, scholarships, bank loans, bank interest, and other scholarships available by different companies. Moreover, the app would also help students with their daily problems. For example, past students could create a forum on the app and talk about places where they can read, libraries, fast food, or just about the subjects they are finding difficult. However, this app would focus on much more points than the current competitors in the market. But I'm not really sure if it's a good blue ocean pitch.
Yes, so thank you, Vaishnavi, for sharing that. Where are you based? Where do you live?
Could you repeat?
Where do you live?
Mauritius.
Mauritius. Okay. That's a cool idea, Vaishnavi, and thank you for sharing that. I think it would be a good idea to look at what other sort of applications are there, and to see if it is a blue ocean, then you need to look at a couple of different things that are there in the course, right? So first you have to think about, so you have talked about what's the great value that you are going to create for the users, right? Because you are saying that what others are offering, you will be offering more than that. And that means that's additional value for them. From the blue ocean perspective, you also have to see whether you will be able to provide that value at a low cost structure as well. So for example, how are you going to get all that information about internships or the advice that you are going to create? Do you have a low cost model of bringing all that information together? So that's one of the things that you need to look at. High value at low cost, are you able to do that or not? Another thing from the blue ocean perspective that you need to look at is, what is the app, who is the app going to be useful for? If it is that there are many other apps that are meant for like high school students or young graduating students, and this is just going to be another app in that same space and just targeting those same customers, then really it's not blue ocean, because you have to think about who are some of the non-customers that you can bring in to the market as well. So maybe in your case, you may be thinking, there are these students, normally everything that's available there in Mauritius is for students to be able to find internships only in Mauritius. But maybe your system, it opens them up to the whole world. So maybe they are able to find some job opportunities or college advice or this or that to open the world for them, right? And that may mean that it is bringing in another level of non-customers into them. So there are a couple of different principles of blue ocean strategy that you have to see one by one if your business idea really tackles them. So high value or low cost, customers or non-customers. In the customers, are you going for a little small niche and segmenting the market, or are you really going for the blue ocean? In a way, you have to think about, is this going to be a small swimming pool or is this going to be a large ocean, right? So to do all of those things, I don't know if you have done the Blue Ocean mini course or not, but I would highly suggest that you go and do the Blue Ocean mini course, because it takes you step by step through all those things that you need to make sure that your business has. And if your business idea currently doesn't have it, it will just inspire you to think along those lines and think about how to improve it. Just like Anna was talking about, that she had the business and how she was able to improve upon it only to meet those criteria that are there in the blue ocean thinking. So that's what I would suggest about your business. But thanks a lot for sharing that. Anybody else has an idea? Anna is our expert here. So Anna, you have some advice for Vaishnavi?
Yeah, definitely. I think I love your concept, especially because it's really nice to kind of come up with an idea that's going to bring a lot of different things together and kind of consolidate it for user experience. I think a suggestion that I would have for you is when you're pitching or when you're creating your business concept, I would definitely say to kind of consolidate, because I think going on when you're going to record and you're kind of you love your business and you're kind of communicating all different aspects of it, I think kind of find the pillars of your app that are the most important. Let's say high schooler experience. You're looking to help people with subjects that they're struggling, and you're looking to help people if they're looking for maybe internships or something, like kind of connect them to the resources that they need. I think maybe a way that I would kind of go about pitching your idea would be to kind of find each user that you would want to benefit, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for an internship, whether you're looking for help with school. And I think kind of like showing how your app would help them in a way that's easy to understand and just makes sense, while applying the Blue Ocean concepts. And that's kind of a tricky thing to tackle, but I think that's where you kind of need to start, especially when your app does a lot of things like that. I think just making it easily digestible to who you're pitching it to would be really, really helpful. And I love the idea.
Thank you so much for all of your suggestions. I will really take a look into those.
Wonderful. Are you working with the team, Vaishnavi?
No, for now I'm working alone.
Okay. And Ishan has some guidelines about when should be working on
The timeline.
the idea when yes, we will go there. But I have one other question for Anna. I'm sorry, I'm taking too much of time. But Anna, so what's the new idea that you're working on? Are you already working on another business or?
Yeah, at the moment, at my school, we have a lot of resources for entrepreneurship, and I think I've been talking to a couple of the mentors there. The latest idea kind of has to do with it's like an app, and it's make reading a lot more accessible to people and how they can kind of fit it in their daily lives. So I'm really excited to kind of move forward with that. It's tricky though, because starting an app definitely takes a lot of brunt work, and it's especially when you don't really have the resources to make it look as clean as you'd like it to or anything like that. So I think navigating that, making user experience pretty good. But yeah, the kind of the main concept is just make reading a lot easier for people to kind of fit in.
Is it Blue Ocean in any way?
I would say so. I think the concept is I definitely don't think it's being done, and it's kind of cool because it takes into account how fast you read and provides suggestions for you. It's really interesting. I'm excited. I think sometime soon some stuff will be coming out. Like I'm really looking forward to that. I don't want to spoil everything, but yeah.
Good. Okay.
That sounds great. Hopefully in a coming webinar, you can, if that comes out pretty soon, that can be our one of our last webinars. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. If the timeline on that works out, or even next season, I'll definitely reach out and be like, hey, if you want anything, I want to talk about that briefly. But yeah,
that would be great. That'd be awesome.
And I see we have one more participant, Akash. Would you mind introducing you, where you're from, and
So yeah, I'm Akash, and I'm currently in 10th standard, and I'm from India. So yeah, I'm from Andhra Pradesh, which is like a state in India. So, yeah.
okay. Is this the first time you're participating in the competition?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I saw that you joined in late, but the webinar was recorded. It will be put on our YouTube channel. So please do go and attend it. But yes, please do ask any questions that you have about the competition or so. We have a past participant here who is talking about her experience, but do you have any questions for us?
Let me take a minute and then ask them so that I can have.
And in the meantime, Ishan, I will share your presentation again so you can
Sure.
take it down.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, so I guess like the last thing we just want to end off with, just in terms of the competition itself and what you should be ready for. The next slide, the ambassador program. So we also have an ambassadors program. Yeah, so yeah, we also have an ambassadors program. So it's an incredible new initiative we started. And it's open to all high school students, previous participants, and even alumni, and current participants. And you can sign up today and receive your ambassador kit. And the goal is to spread the word about the Blue Ocean competition. And you can win $100 for every 500 ambassador points you win. And you can also win titles like the Blue Ocean Global Student Ambassador of the Year and get access to the Blue Ocean Practical Introduction online course and a 1-year subscription to the Blue Ocean Studio, which is a creative workspace for developing your idea. So there's no reason why you shouldn't sign up. You can also scan the QR code on this slideshow here, and you'll be directed to the link where you can sign up on the website. And it's also just directly on the website too. And I think one thing that you should take away from this, webinar is on the next slide. It's the timeline that you should, kind of be focused on with developing your pitch. If you were present at the last webinar, we were, asking questions and getting answers from Mr. Nestor Benavides, who's the president of the board for the competition. And, the timeline was basically that you should have your idea done based on what he taught us last webinar by this webinar. But if you didn't, then you can just spend a little bit more time in working on your brainstorming and based on this webinar, add any ideas, put a Blue Ocean spin to it. So you should, finalize your team formation and also identify your problem that you'll solve. And then after that, you should spend like around a month on idea development and like incorporation of the Blue Ocean strategy tools. And we also have resources like the Blue Ocean strategy online mini course, right? And if you can, you should also work on prototyping your product to visualize the attributes of your product, which is not required for the pitch, but it could really help judges visualize your product as you're also speaking about it in the Blue Ocean tools that go around it. And with that said, you should also aim to submit your pitch by February 8th, but it's actually the official submission date is February 18th. But submitting it or having it done a couple weeks or at least a week earlier just gives you a peace of mind. And I know a lot of past participants can speak to that. So yeah, submitting it earlier could give you a peace of mind, and at least having the content for your pitch, like Blue Ocean tools and stuff, done by February can help you. Like early February can help you, give you enough time to work on your pitch. As we mentioned today, is one of the harder parts of, actually effectively giving your pitch and having the quality of your video good. So if anyone wants to add to that, definitely. So I guess one last question I had for Anna. I'm wondering, like, do you think it's, there's a benefit to finishing your pitch earlier and having a peace of mind, and also like finishing your content like earlier and being able to give yourself enough time to actually do your video pitch?
I definitely think being a little ahead of the game would benefit you a lot, especially if you kind of run into a roadblock in the future, like, or if you attend a webinar and you're like, oh, I really want to apply this to my idea, or I think this would really elevate my pitch. I think having it done ahead of time makes room for that. It makes room for a last second improvement. And I think also having it kind of laid out before you go to record your pitch is also very beneficial. I don't think it's a necessity per se, but I think it definitely would make it easier to make it sound more eloquent, to communicate your ideas more effectively, because you just have more time to work on it. You can have more people proofread it. You can have you can re-record it as many times as you need and what your schedule will allow for. So I think it would benefit, but I don't think it's essential. If you're behind, don't stress about that, because it'll get done.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. So it's just suggested timeline, and yeah, personally, I just did it a week before, and that really helps. Yeah, so that's all, everyone. If you have any other questions, you can connect with us at Blue Ocean Competition at our Instagram. And what we're doing now is that we're engaging like our network of alumni, student members, and even our board of directors. if you email committee@blueoceancompetition.org and you have any questions or you want us to, speak at any of your school event or your club event, please don't hesitate to do so. And we can help you with your pitch and process in general. So thank you so much. Thank you all so much, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Anna, for being here. It was lovely hearing from you. And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if you have some interest, do join our ambassador program. Like it said, it is about spreading the word, but really it is taking the movement forward and making that impact all around the world, right? That's what we're striving to do, to bring entrepreneurship education to as many high school students around the world as possible. And that's really the role of the ambassadors, to help us take this word out, bring these resources, because with the competition, we get lots of educational resources as well, like the mini course, like, mentorship opportunities and so on. So it really is about taking that word forward and bringing these free resources to students anywhere in the world. So do consider becoming a part of our ambassadors program. It's very new, but we do welcome our alumni to join the group. As an alumni, you will have opportunities. So basically, the way it is structured is that you get points for everything that you do. Like, let's say you write an article about it, or maybe you give a speech about it or talk about it on a social network, or maybe at your school, or maybe at your university. So you get points about it. But as a alumni, you also get points for volunteering as a mentor to help any of the current participants, if they have any questions or so. And it's over time, then we want to track, who is like the ambassador of the country, or, I mean, that's where it is heading to, the global Blue Ocean ambassador or so. So people who are able to help us achieve our mission, and that mission is all about engaging high school students everywhere in the world with entrepreneurship opportunities, providing them education about entrepreneurship, and then giving them this opportunity. We have a question from Neil.
Where can I find the mini course?
Oh, not get it? Okay. So it's on the website. Let me go on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on the website, blueoceancompetition.org. And you have resources for participants. Normally, when you register, I think that's the first thing that they send out to you. So this is the Blue Ocean mini course. It should be accessible from.
So yeah, you should basically just register for the competition and you'll be able to get it, because it's required for submitting. It's completing the Blue Ocean mini course is required to submit your pitch once you register this year. So, and it's required for a reason. It's really going to help you with your pitch. So
actually, I just noticed that there isn't a link here, so there should be a link here.
Yeah.
Dates and deadlines, training. Thank you for bringing that up, Neil. I see that.
So, Neil, I guess Neil, for now, just register and you'll get access.
Have you registered for the competition already?
Yeah, I registered. I'm looking through my inbox now. I see the mini course link.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
Sure. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.